Apple's brilliant leader, Steve Jobs, is someone many of us admire. But is it really possible to learn what he discovered over 50 years of life in just 15 minutes? Well, the answer is yes, it is possible. At Stanford University, Steve Jobs famously gave a stirring speech in which he used 3 straightforward tales to convey the most important lessons of his life in only 15 minutes. I asked the audience at one of my workshops how many had heard Steve Jobs' Stanford commencement speech. Remarkably, just a few people raised their hands. The majority had never heard of it. I am explaining this in easy language so everyone can understand it. Relax your mind and forget all your worries for a few minutes. Today, you will hear something that can change your life. Let's start without any delay. Thank you. Being here with all of you at the commencement ceremony of one of the best colleges in the world today is an honor. I want to be honest with you, tonight is the closest I've ever been to graduating from college, and I never did. I have 3 life stories to share with you today. That's all there is to it, it's only 3 stories. My first story is about connecting the dots. After enrolling at Reed College, I dropped out within 6 months. However, I continued to hang around there for about 18 months before I finally left completely. So the question arises, why did I drop out? Well, the story actually begins before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unmarried graduate student. She decided to put me up for adoption, but she had one important condition. She wanted me to be adopted by college graduates. Everything seemed to be set in advance. I was supposed to be adopted by a lawyer and his wife, but when I was born, they suddenly changed their minds at the last minute and decided that they wanted a girl instead. So, late at night, my parents, who were on a waiting list, received a call asking, "We have a baby boy. Do you want to adopt him?" And they immediately said yes. However, later my biological mother found out that my adoptive mother was not a college graduate, and my adoptive father hadn't even finished high school. Because of this, she refused to sign the final adoption papers. A few months later, my future parents promised her that they would make sure I went to college. Only then did she agree, and I was adopted. That's how my life began. 17 years later, I went to college. But I naively chose a very expensive college, almost as costly as Stanford, and all the savings of my working-class parents began to be spent on my education. After 6 months, I couldn't see any value in the education I was getting. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. At the same time, I was spending all the money my parents had saved their entire lives on my education. So I decided to drop out, trusting that somehow everything would work out for the best. At the time, it was a very scary decision, but looking back now, I can say that it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Let me tell you how. As soon as I dropped out of college, I stopped taking the classes that didn't interest me, and I began attending only the ones that truly interested me. It wasn't easy at all. I didn't have a room to stay in, so I slept on the floor in my friends' rooms. I returned Coke bottles to get the deposit money and used that to buy food. Every Sunday, I would walk 7 miles to the Hare Krishna temple just to get one good meal a week, and I really loved it. Now let me tell you why dropping out of college was one of the best decisions of my life. My second story is about love and loss. I was very lucky I found what I loved to do early in life. Steve Jobs and Woz started Apple Incorporated in my parents' garage when I was just 20 years old. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple grew from just the 2 of us into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We had released the Macintosh just a year earlier, and I had just turned 30 when I was fired from the company. I know what you're probably thinking, how can you get fired from a company you started? Well, as Apple grew, we hired someone I thought was very talented to help run the company with me. For the first year, everything went well. But after that, our visions for the future of the company began to clash, and eventually, the disagreement reached the board of directors, and the board of directors sided with him. So at the age of 30, I was fired from my own company. The focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. For a few months, I didn't know what to do. I felt like a complete public failure. At one point, I even thought about leaving Silicon Valley. But gradually, I realized that I still loved what I did. What had happened at Apple hadn't changed that at all. I had been rejected, but I was still in love with my work. So I decided to start over again. At the time, I couldn't see it, but now I believe that getting fired from Apple was one of the best things that could have happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. I felt free once more, and that freedom led me into one of the most creative periods of my life. At one point, I even thought about leaving Silicon Valley. But gradually, I realized that I still had a deep passion for what I did. What had happened at Apple Incorporated hadn't reduced my love for my work at all. I had been rejected, but I was still in love with what I did, so I decided to start over again. At the time, I couldn't see it, but now I believe that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have happened to me. The weight of success was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. I felt free once more, and that freedom led me into one of the most creative periods of my life. Over the next 5 years, I started a company called Next and another company called Pixar. During this time, I also met an incredible woman who later became my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first fully computer-animated film, Toy Story, and today it is one of the most successful animation studios in the world. Later, in an unexpected turn of events, Apple Incorporated acquired Next, and I returned to Apple. The technology we developed at Next is still at the core of Apple's products today. So I can say with complete certainty that if I had not been fired from Apple, none of this would have happened. It was a bitter medicine, but I believe the patient needed it. Sometimes life hits you hard, but don't lose faith. The only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. And guys, I really hope you learned something valuable from this video. If I made any mistakes while converting or presenting this speech, I truly appreciate your understanding. If you want more inspiring, motivational, life-changing content like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel Masters of Global Impact and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and keep moving forward.